The next generation of EVH is here. Let's check out the brand new EVH SA126 in Tobacco Sunburst and Stealth Black. For shredders and hard rock fans, I'm sure the EVH brand of guitars and amplifiers are no strangers to them, especially because they are certainly the ones prominently keeping the legacy of the late great Eddie Van Halen very much still prominent in today's guitar landscape. Not only is the 5150 probably the most used metal amp of, I would probably say of all time, it's such a classic, but you are able to get yourself very, very faithful recreations of the Frankenstrat, which Eddie Van Halen made very, very famous, and I'm sure any big fans of his have already tried one of these out and seen them in a shop. But as I mentioned right at the start, we're going to be talking about the next generation of EVH, which comes in the form of Eddie's son Wolfgang, which is Wolfgang Van Halen actually, which is maybe one of the coolest names I think I've ever heard in my life. But this, you may have seen this if you've seen Wolfgang at all in any photos or live or anything. He has been playing this model of a guitar, which I'm very, very excited to talk about today, which, as I mentioned at the start, this is the SA126. Totally forgot those numbers there for a second. But much like all of our videos, we've split them up into chapters, so if you do want to see a specific section about this guitar, or you just want to hear the sounds, check out the timeline below. But I'm going to jump in just with some specs, do a little bit of clean playing so you can hear these pickups, and then we're going to do a bunch of tones later in the video, so check those out. Let's just jump in right with the specs right now. So the first thing you'll probably notice about the SA126 is maybe the size of it itself, and it does have a feature that I'm going to talk about just in a second as well, but that was one of the things that surprised me the most when I got this guitar out of its case. It comes with a very nice white case, by the way, for anyone who is keen to know. But it is quite a big guitar. I'd almost say, like, kind of body-wise, it feels like I've got something like a 335 or a Casino or something in my lap. And that's a really good segue into talking about the feature of this guitar, which some may have found certainly a little bit kind of odd for, something that plays is maybe directed kind of towards like hard rock and a lot of kind of distorted tones. But this is actually a chambered semi-hollow guitar. Just up the top there, it's got this really, really cool, can you call that an F-hole? It's not actually shaped like an F, but that's a really, really cool feature with the guitar, and you will hear just with some of the clean sounds that this is a very, very warm sounding guitar. Mostly the fact because it is chambered mahogany, it's got a basswood center block through the middle as well, so very, very dark sounding woods. It's also got a two-piece mahogany neck, as well as an ebony board on them as well, so you are getting these kind of much sort of darker sounding woods on this guitar, which definitely, kind of your EQ, shift that towards what you need to if you're playing with this. All the tones that we're getting from the Quad Cortex today, I boosted the trebles just a little bit, just so it's a little bit more cutting. But certainly, if you want to play like jazz or something on this, roll that tone knob down just a little bit and you're in the most kind of warm sounding territory that you could be. Sticking with the neck as well, it has 22 jumbo frets on there, and actually the shape of it is known as the EVH Modified C back shape, which, even just to kind of give you a sort of description of how it feels, it's a very quite skinny neck. I would have expected it to be a little bit kind of chunkier, but certainly for any of that shreddy stuff, if anybody's wanting to do that, it's an absolutely amazing neck for that, just because it's really, really comfy. It sits in the palm of your hand very, very easily. And the fact that it's a satin finish on it as well just means there's no stickiness and you can kind of fly all over the place on it. While we're still on the neck as well, it's got a 12-inch to a 16-inch compound radius on here, where it just gets that a little bit flatter when you're up at the dusty end there as well. And actually, just while we're talking on the fretboard itself, you'll notice that the ebony board, it's got kind of little streaks and stuff in it as well, which is just a really cool sign because it shows that EVH are using every single bit of ebony as well, just being that little bit more conscious about the wood choices they're using. And it'll just make your guitar just that little bit uniquer as well, because you'll have all these very unique sort of stripes of ebony on it as well. Like I said about unique about 4 times in that last sentence there as well. But what else is unique about this guitar, hey, is those inlays. You'll notice that they're kind of split blocks and the strings almost sit just on them as well, which is just a really, really cool feature. It just helps this stand out that little bit. A couple of extra features that really help this guitar stand out as well is that brand new headstock shape, which just looks quite cool as well. It's almost kind of got like a sort of Gibson-y vibe to it, but kind of playing with that offset nature of the body as well. It's like an offset headstock, which is super cool to look at. It's also got these EVH button tuners on there also, kind of keeping with that sort of like Gibson-y vibe if we're talking, you know, the headstock and stuff like that. If we move down to the hardware, it's, you know, one of the kind of biggest differences that I've noticed. Like, I would have very much expected, you know, the son of Eddie Van Halen to have a guitar loaded with like Floyd Rose or at least a floating trem or anything, but what Wolfgang's opted for, Tune-o-matic bridge there with the, or a hardtail bridge, sorry, but the bridge is this kind of old 70s style harmonica bridge, which you'll maybe seen on some 70s, you know, SGs or Les Pauls or anything. Super cool aesthetic sort of choice here. I think it just really, really suits in with the guitar. And if you look at the black model there as well, that one does have black hardware, which just really suits the stealth black nature of that guitar there. It's worth mentioning this does come in another couple of colours as well. This quilt maple topped one, sorry. This is Tobacco Sunburst, and you also get a transparent purple, which looks amazing. And with the matte one, that comes in a matte army drab, which is this kind of dark green colour as well, which I think just looks awesome also. Now we're quickly looking over the pickups as well. These are EVH SA126 pickups made for this particular guitar. There's nothing particularly subtle about these. They are very, very high output as well, as you would, you know, as you would expect from a guitar like this. You can keep them kind of tamed, obviously, if you roll your volume down or on a clean sound, which let's actually check out the clean sound right now. So I think you'll agree as well that it does have a very warm and kind of dark sounding characteristic to this guitar too, and it is pushing out quite a lot of gain when it needs to, and you'll hear it in the playing examples here. Just a couple of last little bits I want to mention before we get onto that as well. Just a couple of quality of life things that I really quite like about this guitar. Truss rod wheel has been put at the bottom of the neck, and it's really, really easy to access there if you do need to do any maintenance on it. Following in his daddy's footsteps as well, and it being a bolt-on neck here as well, but it does have a nice little kind of cutaway and a sort of shape of your hand there, just for when you're trying to get up to that end. And actually it comes with 2 strap buttons as well at the top. You either have one that goes into the bolt-on neck section there, or you've got one where you would expect it to be. So it just gives you some options depending on how you want to wear your strap. And that's kind of about it, as much as I want to really cover with this guitar, because I think it does really shine with some of the tones. So let's just jump in. As I mentioned, all the sounds we've got today are coming directly from a Quad Cortex. Everything is being processed through that. So let's check out the tones. So that was just a few examples of what the brand new EVH SA126 can do. I think this is a great addition to the EVH lineup because, as I've said before, you can get the Frankenstrat relics. There's a couple of other models in there as well that are, the old Eddie signature models and stuff as well. But it's just really cool to see his son kind of carrying the legacy, but also cutting out his own, or carving out is the word I should use there, carving out his own legacy within that as well. He's not doing the exact same stuff as his dad, and I think this guitar really shows that, but while sort of paying a little bit of homage to it as well. You can kind of feel the DNA through this guitar, especially when you play one of those and you check out one of these. But let me know in the comments what you think about the brand new EVH SA126 guitars down below. And while you're down there, give us a like and a subscribe. It really does help the channel and we very much appreciate it. But until next time, I've been Kieran and this has just been a very quick look at the brand new EVH SA126 guitars. Have a great day.